Nom Nom delivers fresh food with whole ingredients backed by veterinarian science. Science tells us that a dog's health starts in the bowl, so improving their diet is one of the best ways to help them live a long and happy life. Nom Nom's food is full of proteins your dog loves and the vitamins and nutrients they need to thrive. All you have to do is order, pour, and serve. Ready to make the switch to fresh? Order Nom Nom today. Go to https://trynom.com/curveball and get 50% off your first order plus free shipping. That's https://trynom.com/curveball. Plus, Nom Nom comes with a money-back guarantee. If your dog's tail isn't wagging within 30 days, Nom Nom will refund your first order. No fillers, no nonsense, just Nom Nom. Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, we're going to be talking about grieving in children, as I am joined by children's author Katherine Pendergast and funeral director Lacie Breckner. They both work in the funeral department. Lacie is a funeral director and Katherine works with the insurance side, but we're going to be talking about why they do what they do and grief in children. So thank you for joining us, Katherine and Lacie.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Well, why don't you, each of you, start off by telling the listeners about yourselves?
Well, I'm Katherine Pendergast, and I'm a children's author, and I also work in the funeral industry on the insurance side of things, and that's how Lacie and I met. And I've written several other books kind of about animals, dogs, and other things like that. And one day, Lacie and I, we were just visiting, and we were talking a lot about the fact that there's not a lot of tools and resources for families that have children during the funeral process. And so we created a set of books to help children during a time of loss. And those books help children, parents start the conversation with their children. And then we also show kids what a funeral, visitation, graveside service might look like. And then also some grieving mourning activities they can do individually and as a family. And from that, we just had so many requests to do a pet version, and that's where Goodbye Bella came from.
My name's Lacie Breckner, and I'm a funeral director. I've been in funeral service for, I think we're on 18 years now. And Katherine and I met, and she told me about the children's books that she was working on, and we got to visiting one day and kind of did some digging, and there was a lack of resources for kids who have experienced or going through the loss of not only a pet but a family member as well, and decided that we could maybe fill that gap.
So I know you guys both had dogs that you lost, so you want to let the listeners know about that?
Yeah, I had two Great Danes that passed away last year. Carmela, she was a certified pet therapy dog, so I volunteered with her at a facility where kids lived, and she did that most of her life, and she definitely knew when it was time to go to work. I'd put her stuff on, and she was just ready to go, and they absolutely loved her. So that was really tough to go through the loss of her because she was my first dog, and I was just so close to her. And I have a 8-year-old son, so he had to go through that as well. And then our other Great Dane, Meadow, she ended up passing away a few months after that. So the timing was just, I think we just knew we had to do it. We both had experienced so much loss in such a short period of time. And that was kind of my losses that I had last year. And Lacie, I know you had some too.
Yep, sure did. So about the time that we were writing our first books was so we had two little dogs at home, Max and Layla, and we had to make the tough decision to bring our Max in and have him euthanized, and that's a hard thing to go through. And so we had lost him, and then here more recently, a year ago, a year ago, we lost our little Layla. He was a little Yorkie, and it's hard to go through that.
Okay, well, kind of walk us through the process of how the two of you help kids deal with loss and grief, whether it's, another person or animal.
Well, in the pet book, we show a little bit of the aging progression of the animal. With my son, he was able to see kind of the decline in their health. The accidents on the floor, not being playful, losing their appetite, some of those end of life things. And it was kind of frustrating from his perspective that he wanted to play with them and he didn't want them to have accidents. And, so he really got to experience that. And so some of that was inspired by real life things. But the other thing that we did in the book was Charlotte, she's the young girl in the book, and she's really concerned that she's not going to be able to say goodbye to Bella because she doesn't know exactly when Bella's going to die. And so she comes up with a pretty creative way to say goodbye to Bella every day and kind of cherish those last moments and last days and weeks with her, even though she doesn't know when that's going to happen. And it's also kind of hard to experience that, but she just really goes with it and just shows a lot of love and compassion for her dog.
So what was the most surprising thing that happened during the time that you two have been collaborating?
I think kind of a surprising thing that we both experienced is we've had many adults that have come to us since these books have been released saying that our books not only help their children, but helped them as adults as well, which has been kind of a neat surprise.
Well, Katherine, I know Lacie was telling me that you're really the children's book author and you have a lot of books out there. So tell the listeners about, the rest of your books and any other collaborations that you guys have together.
Yeah. So back in 2018, I published my very first book, and that was Pickles the Dog Adopted. And it was kind of about a real dog named Pickles that was part of my business. I donate a small portion of my sales to animal shelters with all my books, including the funeral books and the pet loss book. But so I kind of wanted to share her story. She was from Minot, North Dakota, and during the 2011 flood there, she kept getting returned to a shelter over and over. And a family member of mine ended up with her, and she was just this amazing dog. And I wanted to share her story. So there's actually 3 in that series so far. And then I wrote Babies of the Badlands, which is a board book geared towards that really young age, 0 to 3 year age. And so that's the baby animals that live in the national park in our state. And then I also wrote a dinosaur book with my son. He loves dinosaurs. And we wrote a book about his favorite dinosaur, Spinosaurus. And then Lacie and I collaborated on the funeral books and now on the pet loss book. So I think I have about 8 books total now, and which has been wonderful. Throughout my career, which hasn't been very long, I was able to win, I think, 6 national awards with the books and became a #1 bestseller and just lots of things that were really cool that ended up happening. It was never a dream of mine to be a children's author or to be an author at all. It just all kind of happened and came together. And now I can't imagine not doing that.
Okay, well, tell us about any upcoming collaborations that you guys are working on that we need to be aware of and know about.
Not really sure what our next collaboration will be. We've had a lot of requests for different books, really. There's different relationships that we've had requests to do related to a loss. We've had requests for like when a child dies, or a sibling, or a parent, or some other relationship, or maybe even a classmate. Just lots of different requests, and we're always looking to fill a need. So I guess we will figure out what we want to do next. But the pet one just came out, so that's kind of been our big focus right now.
Okay, well, throw out your contact information so people can keep up with everything that you guys are up to and check out everything that you've done.
Yep. So all the books are available on Amazon, and then also on my website, katsocks.com, KATSSOCKS.com. So it's also on Facebook, social media, Instagram, all that.
All right. Well, close us out with some final thoughts. Maybe if there was something that I forgot to talk about that you guys would like to touch on, or just any final thoughts you have for the listeners.
Lacie, maybe if you'd want to talk about kind of the ending of Goodbye Bella. We didn't really touch on that yet.
Yeah, so we ended our book with Bella, or with Charlotte and her family adopting a new dog to bring into their home. And we at first weren't sure if we were going to go that route, and I'm so glad we did. One kind of neat experience that I had recently. So like I mentioned, our Layla, we had lost a year ago. And about 3 months ago, we adopted a new dog and brought a new dog into our family. And shortly after we got Keto, is his name, my little 11-year-old came to me kind of crying and upset, and she was feeling guilt. So several months after the passing of our dog, and we get a new dog, and my little one is feeling guilty. And she said, Mom, I feel so bad that I'm worried that if I love a new dog and I love Keto, does that mean I didn't love Layla or Max? And does that mean that their life didn't matter? And I looked at her and I said, oh, honey, we have so much love in our hearts, and we have love and room to love more than just one or two animals. We can love many animals. And Layla and Max aren't here anymore. And, we can't do anything about that. And they would want us to be happy. And if we have the ability to adopt and bring another animal into our home, then we should do that. And that's what we did. We have lots of love in our hearts to love many animals. And I think that's an important message to tell kids and families and adults even, to know that it's okay to love again after experiencing a loss.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to check out Katherine and Lacie's books and everything that they're up to. And if you know somebody that's going through the grieving process, whether it's an adult or a child, get on the website and check it out, pick up the books. Please be sure to follow, rate, review, share this episode to as many people as possible. If you have any guests or suggestion topics, cjackson102@cox.net is the place to send them. As always, thank you for listening. And Katherine and Lacie, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
For more information on the Living the Dream podcast, visit www.djcurveball.com. Until next time, stay focused on living the dream.